How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a smooth slide transition for your edits on Premiere Pro. First of all, make sure that your sequence is vertical, so head over to sequence settings and make sure it's similar to mine. The width, which is the first value, so mine is 1080, it should be lower than your height, which is 1440 for me on my sequence. So for you, it might be 1080 by 1920 or similar. Once that's ready, make sure you import your clips which are horizontal. That's exactly how we're going to make the transition. We're going to scale it up and then we're going to make it transition from the left or the right to the other side. First of all, you want to search for the transform effect and you want to add this directly onto your clip, not an adjustment layer. It won't work. And then what you want to do is set the scale until there are no black bars. So I'm just going to keep scaling up. So for me, 134 is perfect. What we're going to do now is keyframe the position to make it transition from left to right. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, make sure my playhead is at the very start. Click on the stopwatch to place a keyframe for the position. And if you just click and drag this first value to the right, it's going to push it to the left. And you just want to hit the edge. So just there, perfect. Then you want to head to the end of your clip, the very last frame, and you want to push it all the way to the other side until it hits the end. So somewhere around here, perfect. So far it's linear, which makes it look very stiff. So what we're going to do is graph it. What you want to do is click on this arrow next to the stopwatch to bring down the graphs. The very first thing I'm going to do is click and drag this keyframe ahead because for some reason it doesn't really work. When it's at the very start, it's a bug on Premiere Pro and it really does suck. But this is the solution. And what you want to do is make a U-shaped curve. So what I'm going to do is grab this handle and just pull it up. The same goes for the other side. So it should look like this. At the moment, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just take a look at how it looks. I mean, it's not too bad so far, but I wanted to slow down even more towards the middle and also make it faster at the beginning and faster at the end. So what I'm going to do is just push it up even more and then grab this one as well, just like so. Looking better, but let's try this. Let me grab this handle and make it a little bit tighter. So something like this. Same goes for the other side. Now let's play it back. That's clearly not working. So what we need to do is do the opposite and bring them out. So I'm just going to pull this one back and the same goes for this one. So this leaves us with a wider U-shaped graph. So let me play this. Much better than before. This looks really good, almost perfect. However, in your case, it might not be centered. So what you can do is head in between these two keyframes and insert another keyframe. So let's say this wasn't really centered, even though it is. So I'm just going to center a bit more right in the middle. So before, after. Now if we play it back, it's going to look very stiff once again. And to make these smoother, what you can do is simply just grab these handles for the middle keyframe and push them down. Make sure they're not touching the bottom, but slightly hovering. I'm going to make some extra improvements. So I'm just going to push these handles back like so for the first one and the second one. Let's see how that looks. Okay, not bad. You can see the graph kind of peaks around here. So what I'm going to do is push this one down very slightly. Even by making small adjustments like these, you can fix a lot of problems and get a smoother result. So what I'm going to do now is push this keyframe back. If you increase the shutter angle, you're going to notice it breaks the video, and that's because Premiere Pro is terrible. So instead, I'm going to head over to the project tab and right click, new item, adjustment layer, click OK, and place this on top of your first clip and just cut it down to match the duration. Then head into effects and search for Gaussian blur, or is it Gaussian? I still don't know how to pronounce it, but add this one, which is underneath blur and sharpen, onto your adjustment layer. Head back into effects controls and click on the stopwatch to set a keyframe at the very start. We're going to set it to about 100. Now, because this is a horizontal slide, so it goes left and right, what we need to do is change the blur dimensions to horizontal. Vertical would be up and down. So that wouldn't work because it's not sliding up or down, it's going left and right. So horizontal it is at the beginning, 100. Then you want to head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames ahead. Might be more or less depending on your frame rate. So if you're using a higher frame rate sequence, then you might have to head a few more frames ahead, maybe around 8 to 10. If it's lower than 24 frames per second, like 15, then I'd say about 4 frames ahead. Then what you want to do is place a keyframe. So set this one to 0. So 100 at the start, 0 at the end. And then open up the graph, so click on the arrow next to it and graph like I do. So I'm just going to grab this handle for the second keyframe, pull it to the left, make sure it's leveled, not too high or too low as always. just leveled right there and let go. It should look like this. And now you've got motion blur, which makes it look smoother. So we're going to do this for the end bit as well. So head to your final frame, keyframe. Don't worry about the shape of it at the moment. Just head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames back and set this to 0. Oh, and for some reason we can't graph it. That's because I didn't change the last value. So we're going to change it to 100. And then I'm going to grab the handle for the third keyframe and just push it to the right. You can use the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter as long as it looks like this. Now, if I scrub to the second last frame, so not this one here, but this one here, if you feel like there's too much motion blur or it looks a bit weird, then what you can do is right click on the last keyframe and change it to linear. All right, so far so good. Now I've got another clip to work with, so I'm going to copy it over, starting with the transform effect. If you want to, you can also collapse this. It just makes it easier when using other effects. So I'm going to click on this arrow next to the effects button and I'm going to right click, copy, head over to my next clip, Control V or just right click here and paste. Let's make some adjustments. So I'm going to open it up. First of all, what I'm going to do is move this last keyframe ahead because my clip's a little bit longer. So I'm just going to move it there. Now let's take a look. Okay, it's good, but it's not really centered on my character. So I am going to actually push this slightly to the right. So somewhere around here, that should be okay. And then, yeah, that looks perfect. But now I need to improve the graphs because it's not looking the best. So I'm going to first of all push this first keyframe ahead and then just move the handle slightly up like so. I think, yeah, so before, after, let me just check these. So they seem to be okay. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Let me push this back. I'm still not really a huge fan of this part at the beginning. Maybe we can fix that by adding on the motion blur. So what I'm going to do is hold Alt on my keyboard and just click and drag it above my second clip. Because it's a little bit longer, I'm going to extend it and then move the keyframe ahead. Now, because most of you are beginner editors and you might struggle with this transition, I'm going to leave the project file of what we just made in the description below. So if you want to save it as a preset, you can do so. Just right click on it, save preset. Make sure you select anchor to in point. If you select scale, that might break the effect, but I recommend going with anchor to in point. And then once you save it, make any adjustments. So just move around the graphs and the keyframes. Let's now play it back. And it looks perfect. Awesome. But yeah, that's all you have to do. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Peace.